And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. You're tuned in to Tapped Out. Hosted by Brendan Tobin and Sean Levine. Only on the BetQL network.
With Brendan Tobin and Jake Noaker, I am the sports machine, Sean Levine. And now we welcome on Kairos MMA. You can follow him at Kairos MMA2 on Twitter. Hey, man, no reason to bury the lead because we've been waiting on the Jon Jones fight for a long time. It's finally here next Saturday night. Jon versus Gon. Which way you leaning in that one right now?
People are going to kill me for this one, but my faith in Jon has just dwindled over time. It's like, we don't see the Jon Jones that we knew that beat Shogun. We aren't seeing the Jon Jones that took out Rashad, that beat out. And you're going up. Not one weight class because it's more than just 10 pounds, more than just 5. So I got to roll with Gon. I don't know if Jon can even wrestle him at this point.
For Jon, is it the time being away? Is it the moving up in weight class? What is it the most that you think that concerns you going into next week for him?
It's the accumulation of those things. It's not just one thing for him. It's always it's just everything with him. It's, you're away. You're moving up a weight class. Past 5+ fights against light heavyweights. You've never been a serious knockout threat. You've never been, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not too many ways you can necessarily win unless it's by decision and by points. And I just feel like Gon has enough power and enough striking to just deter Jon's game. I think it finally catches up with him. Him just fucking around and wasting his legacy, and it finally catches up to his ass. I mean, if I'm wrong though, good, but I just don't think so.
What do you think, Kairos, that would mean for Jon's legacy if he goes out there and loses? Because obviously right now he's regarded by most people as the best fighter of all time.
It shouldn't do anything. It's already set in stone what he's accomplished, and I feel like the only people who want to discredit what he's accomplished are people who just started watching, or people who just don't know, or people who are just haters. You know, at this point, you can't have one of the longest reigning championships and one of the most, people don't realize how illustrious light heavyweight was when he first got into the UFC. You had all the legends pouring in from all the other organizations, and he was beating them either in their prime or when they were entering or just when they were leaving. So it's not just he's beating up bums, like how people say on Twitter, he's beating up undersized light heavyweights. It's bro, they were fighting in these weight classes in pride. What do you want? And he's fighting the people who he had available. So I think he's set in stone. He's still one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest. If you want to put him at 2 or 3, you're not going to catch much blowback from me, but he definitely is in top 3.
In the co-main event, we were just talking about this before the end of last segment, Kairos. Valentina Shevchenko, Alexa Grasso. We've seen a lot of long-reigning champions get kind of caught up with over the last year. Do you think that Valentina has the chance to become the next one that just gets caught and her reign comes to an end, or does she keep rolling?
Not against Alexa Grasso. I don't think she's well-rounded enough to get it done. I don't think she could ever out-grapple Valentina. I don't think that she can necessarily outstrike her. If it ever gets any dicey, Val will just switch it up on her. People think that she's looked mortal, but I think it has to do with her losing interest or just the fact that she just wants to beat people a certain way. I don't think Grasso has anything for her. And I also think that Valentina deserves a lot more respect. Because when you look at how many title defenses that she's had, and the streak that she has, if it was anybody else who was on this type of run and they were a man, it'd be this guy should be in your GOAT conversation, top 3, right? If Volkanovski had beaten as many people in succession with his title in his hand as Val did, people would say it's no question he's the greatest of all time. But because it's Valentina, she's a woman, they're just going to discredit her. And I'm hoping she just busts it wide open in 15 defenses and just for as long as she can. And I don't think Alexa's going to change that.
Our guest is Kairos at Kairos MMA2 on Twitter. Connor is back also. He is obviously back right now, and he will be fighting one Michael Chandler. Who's your early lead in that one?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I gotta go with Connor. As much as I think that Connor has just lost steps and has just taken steps backward in his development, I think that Michael's refusal to just become a wrestler in these fights is just what's holding him back. He just wants to get paid and he wants to put on interesting fights. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to ever hold a title or position yourself to be one of the greatest in the UFC, because we know his tenure in Bellator, I just think that he has to change it up, and I don't think he's going to change it up for Conor. I think he's going to go out there like he fought Gaethje, and he might get finished this time. He just might get finished this time when he darts in. Personally, though, I do think, though, that Michael Chandler has, like, the ability and the tools to get it done, like I said, but ego in this game just bugs me. There's so many fighters who would rather just have the crowd cheering for them, and they'd rather be the guy than just do what it takes to win. And I feel like becoming a fan favorite or doing what's necessary to be a favorite is just pointless. Because at this point, they'll turn on you for nothing. We have the most fickle fan base I've ever seen across college football, across the NFL. Like, I have never seen fans jump on and jump off more than MMA fans. And it's just like, that just lets you know right there, I wouldn't do anything for them. Me personally, I'm not here to please y'all. I'm not here to do none of that, because y'all have no loyalty. Absolutely not. But yeah, it's going to be hard for me to pick Chandler. I think he gets finished. I think Conor finishes him in like 2.
This is a crazy month, Kairos, coming on up. With between all the main events that are coming up this month, is there one that you are looking forward to the most out of Usman and Cheeto Sandhagen, and just the whole lot of these main events that are coming up over the next few weeks? Which one are you most excited about?
Cheeto Sandhagen is definitely up there, just for the simple fact that I think that there's a lot of respect going towards Cheeto. And he deserves it 1,000,000%. He's paid his dues. He's been in the UFC for a while, and he's been doing it and doing it and doing it. And the same thing goes for Corey Sandhagen. But I feel like at a certain point, we have to like put them under the pressure to say, well, who's the better? Who's the better out of the two at this point? Because people swear Corey's the second coming of Jesus, and I just don't see it. I think he's an exciting fighter. I think he's talented. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's a top 5 in the division, but I just don't think he's as great as people think he is. And I think this is a great measuring stick, because if he beats Cheeto, I have to shut up. I really do. I have to absolutely just shut up, log off, and delete my account. But
say you're wrong, Kairos. You don't have to do that, dude.
Yeah, I know. I sound wrong, but if he goes out there and lands 100 strikes on Cheeto, and at the end of the round, Cheeto clips him and finishes him on the ground, I'm like, well, time for y'all to finally. It's the same thing that we have with Rob Font, and like every single time we have these great fighters who come into the organization, and people think that they're just god tier fighters, and I just don't see it. I'm a hater, but I'm also like slow to like put my eggs into a basket. But that's just me personally. But that's there for me.
Do you think maybe it's more that not all of them, a lot of these guys happen to be in the same weight class? Like, so we got Triple C and Aljamain Sterling coming up. You're talking about Cheeto and Sandhagen. We haven't even mentioned the name Sean O'Malley. Is there a chance that all of these guys happen to be that good at the same time in the same weight class?
No. No, let me stop. Yes, it's possible. But what I do think, though, is that we have to look at it in terms of, like, if I looked at a fighter, I'm like, okay, I think they're S tier. I think they're A tier. I think they're B tier, C tier, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that if you're in the top 3 of the division, you're probably S tier. If you're in the like top 5, A tier, and so on. But I think that for Corey Sandhagen, he's probably at the bottom of A tier in my mind. I think that guys like Henry, I don't know about Sean. I'm still on the fence about Sean. I really am.
Aren't we all?
The way he fought, yeah. I'm not really. And same with I'm like, I don't know, but I do think that. I think that Cheeto is like, if he's not S tier, he is as high as you could possibly get without being in there. And that is the test. If he finishes him, or he goes out there and dominates him, or even if it's a close finish, I have to pay homage. I got to show some respect. I like that fight a lot. And also, I can't remember. It'll come back to me. The other fight that's really exciting for me.
So you're gonna be furious if Cheeto wins this fight and he gets passed over for a title shot again, right? Because like it's probably going to be in a spot where he could still win this fight, big time stage, and they still could pass him over, and that would seem crazy.
I think they are going to pass him. That's why I wasn't even thinking about him getting a title shot. Because I think Cejudo beats Aljo. I'm going to keep it a buck. I think he does, just because Cejudo's just that great, and I don't necessarily think that Aljo won't get an immediate title rematch. So that's why, in my mind, I'm already thinking he's going to fight either one more time after, if he were to get past this one, or he's going to have to wait. So my mind isn't even thinking on title shot for him.
You were talking about another awesome fight that was slipping your mind. I don't know if it was Gaethje Fiziev perhaps, but that's the one that I'm looking forward to. Who's your early lead in that one?
I can't doubt Fiziev again. After the way he was able to stuff almost all of RDA's takedowns and then he finished them off later, I was just like, every single problem that I had with him and every single thing that I said that he couldn't do, he did it. And then he finished the fight. So, like, Fiziev might be the next one up to be the champion of that division. Obviously, with Islam, you can't really count Islam out, but who's to say that Fiziev can't stuff those shots? Volk was able to stuff them. Who's to say now that other people can't stuff those shots? So, I gotta go Fiziev, and I don't even think if Gaethje comes in and fights his best fight, he'll win. Like, as much as I'm a Justin Gaethje super fan, like, I've never seen that man in a boring fight, and I've never hated on him. I think this is the wrong one for him. I think he picked the wrong one.
Kairos, Tatiana Suarez is going to make her return tonight. We haven't seen her in a very long time, and it's got to be weird for her to look in next week as somebody that she beats in the championship bout. How much are you looking forward to her return? Do you think she could get back to what people thought she was going to be because that was a devastating injury? And we have seen somebody like Juliana Pena come back from a really bad knee injury and become champ. Do you think she's good enough to do that?
Yes, and because she's moving back down to strawweight after this. I think that she wouldn't be coming back if her body hadn't healed. There was times where she was signed up to make a return and then she just backed out because she didn't think her body was recovered or she got another injury. But I think she's at 100%, and Montana De La Rosa is probably going to get ran through, to be honest with you. I respect her for taking this fight, but at the same time, she gets nothing out of it because I don't think she's going to win. I don't think Tatiana gets anything out of it except for she gets rid of the ring rest because it's not like Montana is some perennial powerhouse. I don't even think she's ranked. No, I think she is ranked. No, I don't think she is. But either way, I don't think she gets anything out of this except for experience. But when she goes back down to 115, the division and the landscape is completely different. I think there's a lot of more people susceptible to getting grappled. Like, when she first hit the scene, that was around the time where Joanna was in her prime. You couldn't take her down with anything. She was stuffing everybody's takedowns and just beating the living daylights out of them. That was when Andrade was on point, stuffing you, throwing you on your head, knocking you out. That was when a lot of Claudia Gadelha was doing her thing. Now that she's like back, the division is completely different. She's a lot better of a grappler. I don't think there's that many great anti-grapplers in the division now. I think that she can run the table. I think that she picks the right fights too. She could get to a title shot in like 2 or 3. Well, not probably 3 or 4.
Talking with @Kairos MMA2 on Twitter, tapped out on the BetQL network. Kairos, who's more likely to get their belt back first, Izzy or Kamaru Usman?
Who's gonna fight sooner? Because I think both of them get their belts back. I guess Usman. I'm not gonna pick someone to beat someone who's beaten them 3 times already. I know he was winning 3 rounds to 1. I get it. He was winning 3, but you still lost. Sure, you could say it could have gone on longer. Sure, you could have said the ref stepped in too soon because I think it was a little bit of an early stop, considering we've seen people get their brains beaten out and the ref's just like standing there. So, and it's a title fight too. I feel like you should have just let it go on more, but whatever. Just can't in good
time. Have you seen the odds for that, by the way? Have you seen the odds for that? Because Izzy's the favorite, bro. And I'm with you. It's like, how many times does he have to lose to this dude? It feels like that's a good chance to make some money that night.
It is, but I don't know. Who's to say Alex doesn't get better after that? He's like, oh, well, now I know what it's like to fight him in 4 rounds or 5 rounds in mixed martial arts. Like, we thought that Izzy was going to have the advantage in the grappling department. We thought that he was going to be able to take him down at will and control him. And then Alex took him down. And then Alex controlled him. And I was like, I don't know. So if I have to pick one or the other, I'm going to pick Kamaru because at least in Kamaru's case, he has multiple ways that he can win. And he's shown us that in the first and the second fight. And I just think that at the end, he just wanted to prove a point. He was like, you know what? You're no threat to me. I'm going to strike with you for the last 5 minutes. And it just didn't pay off. It just didn't pay off. But this time I think he's like, nah, this is WWF. We're wrestling for the 25 minutes and we're going to see how this goes.
Unbelievable. I still can't. I'm still shook by that. I really it's one of those things that I don't think I'm ever going to get over as a fan with what Leon would, and I can't imagine what the lead up's going to be like to that too, because it's got to be such a mental thing for Leon to feel like I was getting beat that bad and I still pulled out the win. So it's going to be a wild one for sure.
But I think that this isn't going to be too much of like a mental strain for Kamaru, because he's been in high pressured situations. Like, he was in the Ultimate Fighter house. He had to come through that, and that's tough because his season was different than everybody else's. He had his whole gym mates in there showing up to the fights, cheering in the background. He had a whole bunch of stuff just going against him. I think he handles adversity better than probably anybody on the roster. I think he makes it look easy.
Great stuff, my guy. We'll have you on to talk fighting again. At Kairos MMA 2 on Twitter, you're locked into the BetQL network.